back to the channel. I'm Tia.
And I'm Ebony.
And this is
Reacting to the Internet.
Alright guys, we know why we're here. You know why you're here. You saw the title, you put it on the thumbnail. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today we're going to be reacting to Miss Aaliyah. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this lady's name. I'm so sorry.
Zaria Zad.
Zaria Zad.
That's what we're like.
And the title is Weaponizing Aaliyah in the Culture of Female Rivalry. So,
interesting.
Very interesting. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, guys.
Chase. People like to compare Aaliyah and Beyonce to a ridiculous extent, and it's getting on my nerves. That's it. That's the video. I've noticed this for a while. A few years back, I made a video about the Lifetime original movie that is The Princess of R&B, which I am still working on unseeing. It's possible. I know it is. It has to be. And in recent...
The heck?
That movie was horrible.
I never seen it. Probably for a reason.
It was horrible.
You saw it?
It was horrible. I'm with Miss Zayed. You said Zayed, right?
Zayd.
Zayd. I'm with Miss Zayd.
Yeah, that's what we like. Zayd.
Yeah, I'm with Miss Zayd. I'm working on possibly gonna see this.
It was that bad?
It was terrible. Let's get back into it.
Searching and finding clips to use as references for Aaliyah's work and her performances, every single time I went down to the comment section, there were always comments to be found that compared Aaliyah and Beyonce. I would love to say that this is just a one-off thing that happened a few years ago, but it happens all the time. A few months back, I decided to make this video when I went to watch the visualizer for my favorite Aaliyah song, You Got Nerve, it's amazing, and went down to the comment section and saw, I'm gonna play you to the left, because you're talking me to death, which isn't the lyric. Before To the Left became someone else's hit, I'll always think of this song first, which, is a subtle comparison, but it's not much. Where it really gets bad is at the bottom. This one right here. Shade that blonde wig wearing wildebeest. Aaliyah came first. Which, okay, is weird, but maybe I'm being dramatic when I say it happens all the time.
Dang.
Fast forward a few weeks and I'm doom scrolling on YouTube, right? And I come across this short of Aaliyah debunking rumors that there was something wrong with her eye, which she liked to cover, a la Veronica Lake. I scroll through and I'm pleasantly surprised. This is the reassurance I need that I really am overthinking it and that this is not really a topic. This is not really a thing. People aren't always comparing Aaliyah to Beyonce. Maybe I'm tripping. Then I see it. The last comment mentions the Illuminati, and the reply to that comment is, and then she died to make way for Beyonce. But again, I tell myself, I'm tripping.
This has always been a thing, right? Like, people have always compared Aaliyah, or Leah, the princess of hip-hop, of R&B. They've always compared her to Beyonce, or Beyonce to her, right? Stating that, if Aaliyah was still here, then Beyonce wouldn't have a career, etc., etc. I don't think so. I'm no beehiver, but Beyonce is unstoppable. She's just unstoppable. Like, she was born to be Beyonce.
I think their styles is like totally different. Outside from Beyonce just being Beyonce, right? I think their style of music, there was plenty of space for both of them.
Absolutely.
I feel like Beyonce is a pop, almost a R&B pop star almost.
Yeah.
And Aaliyah was like more of a true, I feel like
R&B.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely were not even in the same arena. Like, these are two very different women with two different sounds, with two very different images.
They just had commonalities. Jay is the commonality.
That's it.
Really.
And they act like two pretty girls cannot exist in the same space.
That's true.
Like, my God. Let's get back into it.
That's all. I think back to when I made that A24 video, which I really want to remake because overall I like that video, but that's not the point. The point is, when I made this video, everyone told me I was wrong. So maybe I'm wrong about this Aaliyah Beyonce thing. Then it happens. I'm scrolling on Reddit, right? I see a post from the subreddit r/popculturechat. It's a post appreciating Aaliyah's We Need a Resolution music video and her styling with a snake, making a point of saying that it was before Britney's iconic snake performance. It is a nice, harmless little post. What's one of the comments? She would have surpassed Beyonce. For real. I'm officially not making this up. So I go through Reddit first and I just search up Aaliyah's name and scroll past all the stuff that doesn't have anything to do with Aaliyah Houghton. And I can't put Aaliyah Houghton without missing a bunch of posts because people rarely ever refer to her by her full name. And here are just some of the things I find on all sorts of posts. On the r/90 subreddit, a post of appreciation for Aaliyah, and one of the comments reads, Beyonce would be nowhere near who she is today if Aaliyah was still here, which makes zero sense, but we'll get to why this take makes no sense. later. On the pop culture subreddit again, a post asking what late celebrity would have had a huge Gen Z following, one of the redditors says Aaliyah, and this is a response, and her career would have eclipsed Beyonce's too. So now I'm going through Aaliyah videos, and I find, way more often than not, someone somewhere is putting Beyonce into the mix even when it has nothing to do with her. I can understand comparing the two of them when it comes to, say, this video of Beyonce interviewing Aaliyah at the 2000 MTV Movie Awards, but in a lot of instances these comments appear on topics that have nothing to do with Beyonce. She just gets dragged into it because of, well, what exactly? All of these comments hold a similar.
That clip was just so cute.
I thought it was cool.
I thought it was cool. It really did look like Aaliyah was just a professional, right? And Beyonce was kind of like new. Like she was like, oh, you know, before, you know, she got too comfortable with the media. I don't really think Beyonce ever got real comfortable with the media, but in this you could tell she was very early on in her career. And I think Aaliyah had been out just a little bit longer, and she was more comfortable with talking and doing stuff like that. But they just so beautiful in their youth. Look at them. They was just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's cute.
Very cute. I loved it. Let's get back. Oh, and Aaliyah had the girlies in a chokehold. These girls, they had the bundles, they had the little swoop going on. She had the girlies in a choke.
The Tommy Hilfiger, the sports.
Tommy Hilfiger, you know, the little her makeup, like the natural look. A lot of girls couldn't pull that off back then because they didn't know how to do makeup.
If makeup wasn't even a big thing, which made Aaliyah cool because it didn't even look like she was wearing a lot of makeup.
That's true.
So that was
very true.
That's one thing that they, you know, like idolized Aaliyah for is just the natural look.
She was very naturally beautiful, and she just had a very like good spirit. Like every time you saw her, she was just cool.
Yeah, oh,
beautiful woman, beautiful person. Let's get back into it.
Sentiment, with the general idea being that if Aaliyah was still with us, Beyonce somehow wouldn't be Beyonce again. Look a sense in a moment. Rarely is Aaliyah compared to anyone else, and if we're going to go ahead and view these artists and their respective work through the very narrow lens of late 90s to early 2000s R&B, there are plenty of singers that Aaliyah could be compared to. She could and has been compared to Brandy. She could be compared to Monica, but those comparisons rarely show up in these conspiracy theories and video comments in this day and age. It is all.
Now I know about Brandy. I know about Brandy. Brandy was in a league of her own.
Absolutely.
In a league of her own. Okay.
I don't know why they did that. No, sis.
I don't think so. I have to disagree with that.
It's okay.
Let's get back into it.
Always Beyonce. The reason for that is solely due to Beyonce's incredible popularity and her current status in the music industry. She is massively popular, wildly successful, and changed the game with that digital drop. She's so wildly popular and wildly talented that just saying she's wildly popular and wildly talented leads to some detractors going on hour-long tangents about how she's really not that great. I mean, you know you're huge when people bring your name up out of nowhere just to say they don't like you very much. Simply put, Beyonce is a successful black woman, and that's enough for people to feel like they have to humble her. And the ways in which they attempt to bring her down are varied and tried, but today's video is only about one of those methods. Today's video is specifically about Aaliyah and how, since her death and since Beyonce's meteoric rise to fame, Aaliyah has been used by many as a tool designed to humble black women. How on earth did we get here? As with any celebrity who's no longer with us and is by that measure contained to a specific time or era, Aaliyah, to no fault of hers of course, really brings out the misogyny in people. You can't go to any Aaliyah video without coming across comments that lambast women today for their choices in clothes or makeup, and if they're not doing that, they're doing Beyonce. It would be a little too much to say Aaliyah has become the gold standard.
Yo, I memorized that video. I was obsessed.
What was that? That was my New Year's resolution. Try again?
No.
Are you that somebody?
Yeah. Are you that somebody? Tell me that somebody. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like a lot of people really do use the fact that Aaliyah was just naturally beautiful, right? She didn't really do too much makeup, and even when she did do the heavy makeup, like in this video, "Are You That Somebody?" and she had the heavy makeup in another video, which I can't remember right now.
With the snake.
I didn't like it. I didn't like her with the heavy makeup.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't.
I didn't. It didn't bother me. I just think that she was transitioning out of more of the tomboy style and kind of getting into more the new age.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know, like, but I get what she's saying. Maybe in the video, right? I understand what she's saying. That, oh, you know, women today, they don't compared to the women in the 90s. Like Aaliyah was just naturally beautiful. She wore her bare face with her hair. You know, she kind of kept it simple. You know. And to that, I say, Aaliyah was in the 90s.
90s, 2000,
early 2000s. Times have changed. Women have changed. Makeup has changed. Everything has changed. Not to say that these women still aren't naturally beautiful, but everybody is more dramatic now, and I don't see anything wrong with it.
It's just times change, I think. You know,
Yeah,
and you adapt, especially if you're an entertainer. You kind of adapt to what's popular.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. But yeah, I get what she's saying. Like everybody
comparing them, like she had to show all her body versus Aaliyah didn't have to do all
that stuff. And it's like it's a different time, different thing, you know. Back in the 90s, women were still
baggy clothes.
Yeah,
they still did a lot of it. A lot of groups did that. Groups, people.
Because it was popular. It was popular. Anyways, let's get back into it.
For women to aspire to. But it's more fair to say that in certain circles, Aaliyah has become this untouchable paragon of perfection, and anything that's not that, anyone who is not her, is deemed to be lesser. Especially in the eyes of so-called Aaliyah fans. I say so-called because I feel that real Aaliyah fans who knew what she stood for would not be creating this impossible beef between her and Beyonce. Like, did you know that there are actually people who have convinced themselves that Beyonce wouldn't be where she is if she didn't make a deal with the devil and sacrifice Aaliyah to feed her fame? Did you know that? It's fucking wild. These are just some of the comments left on what I thought was a touching video of Destiny's Child performing for an Aaliyah tribute during the 2001 Soul Train Awards. I don't buy it. Of course she puts on the biggest theatrics. She had a lot to do with Aaliyah's death. I refuse to just listen to these celebrities without doing my own research. That girl is an evil witch. Angry face. That old mean old Beyonce did you dirty. Beyonce has done too many things that has led me to feel she's been mocking Aaliyah since she died. I know I can just ignore it and chalk it up to ignorant people being ignorant, but it's something that really sticks with me. Something I felt I needed to talk about because when it comes down to it, this need people have to pit these two black women against each other for no reason at all is a form of misogynoir that I just can't let slide. Not only that, but this tendency to use Aaliyah's death and as such her silence to force her into situations that when she was alive she most likely would have wanted no part in. Guys, Aaliyah wasn't about that me or her thing. She wasn't about competition. She was the kind of person who believed there was room for everybody. Everybody could be a star. Everybody had talent. In the 90s, media hyenas tried to create this rift between Brandy and Aaliyah, and she was just not having it. Brandy was interviewed in 2011, and she reflected on meeting Aaliyah and her legacy. She said, "I met Aaliyah when I was about 15. It was, I think, at a rehearsal for the Soul Train Awards, and someone introduced us. I was so excited to meet her because she was the first girl on the scene. She came up before Monica and I did. She was our inspiration. At the time, record companies did not believe in kid acts, and it was just inspiring to see someone that was winning, and winning being themselves. When I met her, I embraced her. I was so happy to meet her. I told her how much I loved her. She said the same thing about me. It was a great moment I'll never forget."
I want to give a shout out to my girl Aaliyah. I love you, girl. Really, I do. I'm a big fan.
The thing that stands out to me when it comes to these comparisons is not just that they don't make sense, but that it comes from a very spiteful place of simply not wanting to see black women.
Aaliyah was just cool.
Man, it seems like it to me. That's how I would see it.
Like, I'm just looking at these videos. I'm be honest, I'm kind of half hearing what this lady's saying in this video, but I'm listening because we got the captions on, right, on our end. But I'm just looking at Aaliyah like, damn, she was cool. Like, it's just a level of cool I have never had.
She just seemed like a very humble,
like a real cool person.
Laid back person.
And so it does make me believe that, you know, again, I don't know this woman personally. I've never met her, anything like that. So I can't take everything. I take stuff at face value, right? Because we could be saying, you know, she just seems so cool, down to earth, blah, blah, blah. But behind scenes, she could have been a totally different person.
True.
I don't know. But just looking at her in these videos and watching her move and how she's interacting with people and how people are showing her so much love. And like a lot of celebrities really never had anything bad to say about Aaliyah.
Yeah, true.
Like, first of all, she was cool with DMX, okay? Like, already.
Aaliyah was just...
She was just cool. She was very cool, looks like a very humble spirit, a very beautiful spirit. She was a very beautiful person, you know? And I can see why she was absolutely the staple back then.
Mm-hmm. And even now.
And even now, like, I absolutely can see how she was the blueprint for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So, let's get back into it.
women. Emphasis on the plurality. Winning. Let's completely ignore the stats and the fickle nature of fame for a second. Let's focus entirely on this idea of female rivalry. There are two forms of female rivalry in pop culture, okay? There's actual rivalry and there is manufactured rivalry. Manufactured rivalry has the potential to turn into actual rivalry in the case of Monica and Brandy, for example. They talk about their disdain for each other in the 90s and how neither one of them could remember how it happened, just that it felt like they were being pit against each other for reasons they didn't fully understand.
I've never competed with anyone else. I was always told things that supposedly came from her or other people, and what we learned most from that is we don't allow anybody else to dictate what happens in our relationship. Even if we disagree amongst each other. Keeping it here, though, eliminates any room for negative outside energy.
This manufactured rivalry turned into a very real one in which there could only be one.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Monica definitely the real one, right? And I'm gonna be honest.
Cause she don't have no. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be honest. In the Boy Is Mine video, I picked Brandy.
This girl crazy. No, Monica, I feel like she's a real person though.
I do. I feel like Monica is just Monica. Like even to this day, she don't seem like she ever switched it up, ever changed up any of those things, right? And I appreciate that about Monica. Same with Brandy, you know.
I don't know about Brandy though.
You don't know about Brandy?
I'm more of a Brandy fan than a Monica fan, right? Mm-hmm. But as far as people being their authentic self, I'm definitely gonna side with Monica more than I am with Brandy, because I feel like Brandy was put into like this princess, everything has to be perfect kind of media. I feel like it was kind of fake a little bit. Like this, the girl, like she had to be like this girl next door. And I don't really feel like Brandy is really like that, to be honest.
Like the girl next door, yeah.
Right, because she was so young, right?
She
but
was.
with Monica, I don't know, as a kid, I remember it was such a big deal that Monica had a tattoo. I don't know if anybody else remember this, but because they was always comparing Brandy and Monica against each other, right? But it was a big deal. Monica had got a tattoo like on her leg or somewhere, and they was like making a big deal of it, like, oh, she got a tattoo, they gotta cover it up, like that gives her a bad girl image, and Monica tagged it. But that's just who she really is. You know what I'm saying? I think like she a little hood.
I can see
you know what
that.
I'm saying? But
I definitely can see that Monica was just Monica all the way through. And I don't know, like I feel like for Brandy to be exposed to the shade, I'm about to tear you down, read you for Fifth Queen, Miss Whitney Houston, The Voice, because Whitney was with the drama. Okay, Whitney was with the shit. She was with it. She got
boy Whitney stamped her.
She did, but I'm just saying for her to be exposed to Whitney, because Whitney was uncut. Okay, she was uncut, and I love that about her. Like she always seemed like she was just being her authentic self. Like you're not about to send for me, you're not about to come for me, you're not about to play in my face. Love that about Whitney. And so for Brandy to be exposed to Whitney like that, I just felt like, damn, none of that rubbed off on you.
No, I don't think so.
Like, wow, that's insane. But you know,
I think you have to put on since you was 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, I understand that. I get that, but I don't know. I just feel like they just have two different images, right? Monica and Brandy have two different images, and maybe that's why Brandy was the Black Cinderella. I don't know, but let's get back into it.
Soulful songstress. When we look at the music industry, well, let's just say the entertainment industry, this tendency to exploit people, especially children, makes this aspect of manufactured rivalry between peers much more sinister. Imagine being a 14 or 15-year-old musician already feeling different from people your own age and seeing someone in the industry who's the same age as you, in the same position as you, who can understand what you're going through, and being made to view them as an enemy. Left in complete isolation, it's easier for you to be exploited, manipulated, molded, and devoured by an industry that doesn't care about you as a human being, but only as a monetary value. And though it happens a lot with child stars, make no mistake, this method of isolation is used plenty on adult women too. Recently, I've been revisiting Have to Hate and kind of investigating why it's deemed okay to hate someone on account of so-called theater kid energy, and revisiting this whole thing has been fascinating. At the peak of Have to Hate, people justified vilifying her by comparing her to Jennifer Lawrence, and a manufactured rivalry began, not a real one. They're cool. Nothing ever became venomous between these two as individuals, but in the media, there was one, and they were constantly compared to one another. In creating this rivalry, society gets to tell women how to be, and Hathaway was poised poised, tried to never say the wrong thing, and tried to be professional. Instead of this being deemed as professional, it's viewed as practiced, and then she's ridiculed for not being genuine. Jennifer Lawrence, fairly new to the industry in comparison, is a bit more unpolished, a bit clumsier, and makes mistakes, which is deemed in this case to be a breath of fresh air. The message is clear. Be professional, but not too professional. Be poised, but relax. Have ambition, campaign for that Oscar, but don't you dare expect to get it.
Came true. Oh, thank you so much to the Academy for this.
Can you believe people called her a bitch for this? Aaliyah's passing has made it so much easier for people to ignore who she was, what she stood for, and what she said, because now she doesn't get to say anything. So they use her silence to speak for her. And boy, do they say some dumb shit. Despite the fact that Aaliyah wasn't with the whole rivalry thing, let's put her in a beef anyway. So I've been focusing a lot on concepts so far, talking about the idea of rivalry, the idea of fandom, ideas. So this part is all about the facts. Not the facts. The facts. Let's circle back to the now overused statement. If Aaliyah was here, Beyonce would not have the career that she does. I have said this doesn't make sense many times, but let's finally get to why it doesn't make sense. Aaliyah and Beyonce were in the same industry, within the same age group, and have similar demographics in their audiences. It would be simplistic to say their music was similar. I honestly and truly think there's a difference in the type of music they made, but they were both under the R&B category, so that's fair enough. So I went through the very grueling, it wasn't that hard, work of looking closely at Aaliyah's final self-titled album and Beyonce's solo debut album, Dangerously in Love. Since the thing we're hearing repeated the most is that Beyonce somehow stole Aaliyah's spotlight, or that Beyonce wouldn't be who she is without Aaliyah's passing, I think it's justified to look closely at these two albums and see how valid that is. I mean, we know there's no validity, but fucking humor me. Looking at the personnel on the Aaliyah album, we see Static Major wrote a lot of the lyrics, with only a few songs being penned by other artists. Missy Elliott wrote I Care For You, Benjamin Bush wrote You Got Nerve, and Duro Babs wrote I Can Be. Most songs were produced by Seats and Rapture, with a few others being produced by Timbaland, J-Dub, or Buddha. Bada. Looking at the personnel on Dangerously in Love, we see a lot of names, and since I don't want to bore you by repeating a bunch of names, I'll just say that only one name that was on the personnel for the Aaliyah album is also seen on the Dangerously in Love album, and that is Missy Elliott, who produced Signs. That's the only common factor, so we can't even say Beyonce was using a similar sound as Aaliyah, which brings me to what I was saying earlier. They didn't have a similar style.
That's one of my favorite songs on that. Yeah, I love this song.
Missy Elliott was writing some bangers. Her pen game is top notch.
And producing, doing everything.
But yeah, they have two different sounds.
They do.
They have two different sounds, two different energies. Beyonce is a entertainer. She is a performer. She is, I'm not even gonna say the female Michael Jackson, because I feel like that's disrespectful. She is the Beyonce. Mm-hmm. She deserves her own title, her own recognition, because my good sis put in work. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't think Aaliyah was that level of a performer.
I don't think so either.
And so
I think she just liked music.
Yeah, I think she just liked music. She liked singing. She liked doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so based off that alone, Beyonce was always going to be who Beyonce is, because she is a performer.
She's a performer. She's an entertainer. I think Aaliyah was wanted to be more of an actress than a singer.
Anything else?
I feel like, because you, as an actress, you don't have to go on tours. You don't have to do this. And I don't feel like she wanted to be, even though she was in the limelight, don't get me wrong, I don't feel like that was something she could be doing as long as Beyonce's doing.
No, like Beyonce, like she really did model her, like, I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but Beyonce modeled her career after the icons, after the greats. Mm. She took inspiration from greats. And unfortunately, at that time, Aaliyah was not considered a great. Mm-hmm. So, again, Beyonce was always going to be who Beyonce is.
You want to know greats, what we talking about?
Tina Turner,
Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson,
Prince, the people who are performing, who are icons. Actually entertaining icons who changed the music game. Yeah. But let's get back into it.
Of music at all, and if they did, maybe I could make sense of the constant comparisons, but their styles were very different. What's so bothersome about this comparison is that, I mean, not that it's just completely unwarranted, but that there's no sense to it whatsoever. And by that I mean something you probably could say, and I don't even feel entirely comfortable at least saying this, but one could argue, okay, that Foo Fighters may not have existed if Kurt Cobain hadn't passed away. That's a comparison you actually legitimately could make, but even that doesn't consider that plenty of people in bands often want to branch off and make other bands. So even if Kurt had lived and Nirvana was still going, going, who knows, Dave Grohl could have still decided he wanted to make Foo Fighters, but at least I could understand if someone said, if Kurt Cobain hadn't died, Foo Fighters probably wouldn't exist. I could conceive of that, because Dave Grohl has gone on record saying that it was Kurt's passing that sent him to Ireland to sort of figure out what he was going to do with the rest of his life, and it was there that he decided he was going to make another band. But with Beyonce and Aaliyah, it's not even like you could say Beyonce inherited some of the songs that...
This man is legendary. He was in 2 iconic ass bands, Nirvana and the Foo Fighters. And no, I don't believe that if Kurt Cobain was still here with us, that he would have switched.
No, he would stay with Nirvana.
He definitely would have stayed with them. So I understand why people can make that comparison. And people are making the comparison simply because when Aaliyah passed away, it kind of did seem like Beyonce took over. And normally with the Illuminati, you know, when you sacrifice one person, right, another person just seemed to come out of nowhere, kind of like Kevin Hart, who just seemed to come out of nowhere once Cat Williams was out of the spotlight. Even though he's still here, yeah, that's the whole thing like that. So
that's interesting.
That's what I think the comparison comes from. Is Aaliyah passed away? Aaliyah passed away. Beyonce rose to fame. But let's get back into it.
Had been written for Aaliyah. They both were put under the umbrella of R&B, although they both have a lot of pop elements. But this was a time when black women being in the pop category was just unheard of. What am I saying? We're still in that time where every single black singer who makes a song is deemed to be some variation of R&B, even if they aren't. When FKA Twigs first came on the scene, folks wrote opinion pieces on how amazing her alternative R&B was. And she was like, I'm not making R&B, you guys are just saying I make R&B because I'm half black. Aaliyah has a very chill delivery, even when she was singing about parties, and her music reflected that laid-back demeanor. Her intro track to the album is We Need a Resolution, which includes these almost gothic strings. It's a very moody, almost dark song that's simultaneously quite catchy, and it is a completely different...
That's the heavy makeup. We need a resolution.
We need a resolution. We need a resolution. She was so damn pretty in that video. I remember watching that video being like, damn.
Yeah, like literally like, yeah, enamored.
It should be her. I remember being a kid, having sleepovers, dancing to this damn song, doing all kinds like, who had the best dance? We need a resolution. Who can do it the best?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
She's the cool as hell.
She is. She's so damn cool. Man, I wish I would have been that cool.
You are still existing. You probably could.
I'm just saying that back when I was in high school or whatever. I wish I was that cool, but I wasn't.
Yeah, I loved Aaliyah when I was little. When I was younger, I should say that, younger, I was a fan.
Yeah, even now I'm not that cool, man.
I remember when people were saying that she died. I remember where I was and everything.
Yeah, I was in school. I remember coming to school and everybody had like their Aaliyah stuff on, and the girlies had the bangs to represent Aaliyah. I remember being in class and everybody's just like, man, we can't believe this shit, man. We can't believe this. It was so crazy. And then like not years, but a couple months later when we found out it was due to a plane crash and it probably could have been avoided, everybody was just outraged.
Yeah, I was working a summer job, and I think my brother came in and told me, I was like,
You was selling those bowls?
I'm sorry?
You was selling those bowls? Or those knives?
No. No, I was... She trying to be funny. Anyway, but no, I was in high school, I think. Yeah. When she passed away, 2001?
Yeah, I was in
8th, 9th grade, so I remember having to just work, with my...
No, you couldn't have been in the 8th grade. I was in high school when she passed away.
When did Aaliyah pass? 2000
something. I was in the 9th or 10th grade when she passed away.
Damn, you old.
Well, you definitely wasn't in high school.
I had to be in high school when I was in high school or going to high school. She must have passed in 2001.
It can't. I don't know. I could be misremembering.
In 2001, you wasn't in high school. You probably was in middle school.
No, I remember being in the cafeteria because it was this girl.
Let's confirm the year. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, guys, let's get back into it.
vibe from the first track of Dangerously in Love, which is Crazy in Love, where We Need a Resolution for all of its elements is almost stripped back. Crazy in Love is very bombastic, a heavy beat, a brass section, a very almost fanfare-fueled song, and a few songs on Beyonce's debut album include homages to other artists. Crazy in Love samples Are You My Woman by the Chi-Lites. Naughty Girl has an interpolation from Donna Summer's Love to Love You Baby. Be With You is a favorite because it's influenced by two of my favorite songs, which are Strawberry Letter 23 by Shuggy Otis and I'd Rather Be With You by Bootsy Collins. It's a nice blend. The one thing I actually can say with certainty that the albums share, that they have a similarity of, is they both have themes of love, relationships, heartbreak, and infatuation. But is that saying much when a lot of music is about those very themes? Because if that's enough to say they're similar in sound, then we may as well throw My Bloody Valentine in there for comparison too. I've seen people make the argument that because Aaliyah started her career before Destiny's Child, she would have been more famous than Beyonce. But this take doesn't take into account the very fickle food that is fame. Fame is not constant. Fame fades. The industry isn't loyal, the general public isn't loyal. Just as soon as people decide they like you, they also decide that they're sick of you. At one point, Jennifer Lawrence was used as a tool for people to hurt Anne Hathaway. They were so sick of her, she was so fake, she was this, she was that. But Jennifer Lawrence, on the other hand, was so refreshing, so real, you wanted to have a beer with her. And as soon as the people and the industry had enough of Jennifer Lawrence, they turned on her, to the point that even Jennifer...
You know, I have no idea.
I do. I remember they kept putting them. Jennifer was everywhere.
She was?
Yes, and everybody just could not stand the other girl. And yeah, they couldn't stand her. I'm like, they both.
First of all, that is The Devil Wears Prada. That is Princess Diaries. That is Anne Hathaway. I like Anne Hathaway.
I do too. I don't see nothing wrong with her.
I honestly, I have no idea about this beef that was happening between.
I do remember them.
I was somewhere watching anime.
Probably.
I have no idea about that beef, but I'm an Anne Hathaway fan. Like, I'm not really a Jennifer Lawrence fan. No, I'm pretty sure she's great. I'm pretty sure she's awesome. But every time I've seen her in a movie, I just think her acting is
I thought she was pretty good. It was the Hunger Games, really. Didn't she play in the Hunger Games?
Yeah, she was in the Hunger Games.
That was really what, catapulted her. But then when people realized, like, she's kind of, like, down to earth and kind of quirky and stuff, they really fell in love with her.
Yeah.
Like, but Anne is not like that, though.
No.
She kind of reminded me of Julia Roberts a little bit.
She does.
I love
like,
Julia Roberts. That's my girl.
Not everybody has the same personality. Like, everybody who's poised and try to say the right thing is not fake.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just sometimes their image. Mm-hmm. And not everybody is quirky and goofy and has that type of sense of humor. Yeah. What is the problem? But I think
she's
she
like
was
a hometown girl.
I think she was in The Internal Mind, the Internal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
What? The fact that you even remember that
it was a
is
great
impressive.
movie. I think he had bipolar. The guy had bipolar disorder. Am I getting these movies confused? I think I'm probably getting it confused.
But the fact that you remember the title like that is impressive.
I just remember her from a movie she did where the guy had bipolar disorder, and she did a good job in that movie. She really did. I was like, okay, she's definitely cool. So, anyways, let's get back into it.
Herself said she wanted to take a break from the industry because it, quote, felt like everybody was sick of me. Fame isn't fair either. Just because you start in the industry before someone else, that doesn't mean you'll continue to be more famous than them. Everyone talks about how at one point Kim Kardashian was just known as Paris Hilton's friend, and now Kim is arguably more famous than Paris. People often get a kick out of revisiting sitcoms and seeing now Oscar winners in minor roles like Emma Stone and Malcolm in the Middle. Using this argument for this impossible beef also ignores the trajectory of Beyonce's career. People only compare them because Beyonce is huge, and if she wasn't where she is now, no one would be bringing her up when talking about Aaliyah because they don't really have a lot in common. They pinpoint her because she is that famous, while blissfully ignoring the hits that brought her to where she currently is. People forget that in 2000, the year-end Billboard chart had Destiny's Child listed 3 times with Say My Name, Jumpin' Jumpin', and Independent Woman Part 1. In 2001, Destiny's Child also appears on the same chart 3 times. And by this point, there's high anticipation for the girl's solo acts and specifically the solo debut of Beyonce. When it comes to their acting careers, entirely disregarding the fact that Billy Woodruff kind of let people believe the myth that Aaliyah was meant to play Honey for like 20 years, their choices in movies were again vastly different. Aaliyah chose a lot of darker things. Queen of the Damned, Romeo Must Die, which is, at its core, a modern Shakespearean-esque tragedy that happens to have a lot of action. And her choice to be part of the Matrix series. Unfortunately, the role had to be recast after her death, but this cyberpunk, gothic, Shakespearean world, these were the worlds Aaliyah was interested in stepping into, and she was great at stepping into them. Whereas Beyonce initially did mostly comedies and romance, like Austin Powers and The Fighting Temptations. It is so unfortunate that...
Baby,
let's not talk about acting.
Queen of the Damned, Akasha, You couldn't tell me nothing. When she set that man on fire, that look, please. Man, Aaliyah played the hell out of that role.
She did.
She played the, man, those nails she had. I wanted those nails so damn bad. Ooh.
Stop.
Really? Is that what you're going to do? She just took that man hard out. Oh my God. It was great.
Aaliyah over here eating people's hearts.
She was eating. She ate.
We ain't talking about acting. I'm gonna say no comment. Cause we not about to talk about acting.
No, but I will.
I plead the fifth because
Beyonce can't act, bro.
But maybe she can, just not in movies.
Maybe, but she can act in them videos. But yeah,
Oh, I was about to say something. I ain't even gonna have the people come for us like that. Go ahead.
that don't translate well.
Nah, push play.
Let's get back into it.
People feel the need to create this narrative that Beyonce did something evil to Aaliyah because from what we know,
I like
Aaliyah was
Fighting
surrounded by
Temptations,
people who
Y'all remember Carmen, a hip hop opera?
No,
That's all I'm gonna say.
Look, no. Fine, let's go back to Fighting Temptations. Seems like I always been so
Play.
perfect. Hey,
in a word,
that was a jam.
were just inappropriate around her. We all know about the monster that is R. Kelly, but people don't often talk about just how often older men Aaliyah worked with casually talked about being in love with her and wanting to be with her. Keep in mind, oftentimes these are men who were 10 to 15 years older than her. There were very real people who harmed her, some truly evil people, and for some reason, people feel the need to ignore these truths and create a fiction where the only person who ever did anything wrong to her was a woman, a girl at the time, who was simply in the same industry as her. I could go on and on, but honestly, I feel like I'm going in circles with this. It's just such a disheartening thing to see so often, mainly because what I saw as a young girl, when I was told by who starred in what shows and what kind of importance they had, was that the space for Black women was very small. So just to hear the suggestion that it should be smaller, that there couldn't be Aaliyah and Beyonce, it has to be Aaliyah or Beyonce. Well, kids, it gets my goat. And it also gets to me because Aaliyah's death was tragic. It was so preventable, so horrid, and she was so incredibly young. It's bad enough as it is without people using that tragedy as a way to push their own conspiracy theories. There are valid reasons to critique Beyonce, but this baby is simply not one of them. The final reason it irks me is because we truly have no idea what Aaliyah would have done with her life. In some of her final interviews, she expressed interest in the UK garage scene. We know she was a huge fan of Korn and 9 Inch Nails and really wanted to collaborate with Trent Reznor. She could have made a rock album, a UK garage album, or some ingenious blend of the two. She could have stopped making music altogether and zeroed in more on acting. She could have decided she didn't want to be in the
That's why she was so damn cool. She was an alternative girl by heart. That's why she was so cool.
You just making that happen. That is different. I didn't even know that.
Let's get back into it.
industry. For us to presume to know anything about who she would have become is simply not our place. Aaliyah passed at the age of 22. She was so damn young. Who knew what kind of person she would grow to be? But we all know the kind of person she was. And even that person was not here for this shit.
She's an aggressive woman who's out to get what she wants to get, you know what I'm saying, ambitious, and they want to say, you know, when a male is assertive, this is what he wants, he's looked at as a strong male, but yet when I get it, you know, I'm a bitch. Exactly. And if that's what I gotta be, exactly, to get what I want and to make it somewhere, then I'll just be that.
People making up beef.
They're making up beef. It is what it is, guys. You know, whatever. Aaliyah was Aaliyah, Beyonce is Beyonce, and they both would have existed and thrived in whatever Aaliyah would have chosen to do with her life. That's all I gotta say about it.
Man, people making up stuff. Aaliyah's Aaliyah, Beyonce's Beyonce. I think they in two totally different categories. You can't even compare the two.
You really can't.
Just because they black females.
That's it. Just making up beef. That's it. Just making up stuff. But guys, let us know what you think about the video down in the comments below. And until next time, peace.